So, what emerging technologies do you believe will have the most significant impact on the next generation?
So, in my point of view, Ayush, is of course AI is one of the major technologies that will have the greatest impact on the new generation. Uh, if you tell me in 10 years, I would not be able to know where we would be, but of course, um, in the near future, we're seeing AI playing a major role. The other technology that I would say, like kind of optimistic about is Web3 technologies and blockchain combined with AI. The third one that comes to my mind is quantum computing, because this technology, of course, still it's in infancy, but I believe, it might change even the way we do things, because all the uh, fast computing power and fast processing power that it's gonna give us.
We're going to be talking about AI a lot in this conversation. I think people after 2017 and 2022 are kind of a little, iffy on Web3 and blockchain. I believe that it's going to be playing a major role in the economy and our markets. But in terms of quantum computing, can you say a little more? Why would it change everything?
It will change everything, because just to give some context for the audience, right? So I don't want to go too much in the technical details, but if something, let's say today, it can be done with the normal computers that we know today in, let's say, um just to make a context, like uh, let's say 10 hours, right? Maybe, if you give a simulation task. So in quantum computing, that would be done in fractions of seconds. So just to give you some context, this will affect many other technologies. So AI is one of them, because AI relies on computing power, and you and the audience must have seen how the stock market for like something like Nvidia, the chip maker of the AI chips, you know they skyrocketed. So everything is related to the way how computing is done on the hardware level. And quantum computing would give us this super fast computing power, and the fast like speed of light, I would say, in the way we do things. So things that usually would take in simulation perspective, because for example, again, to put some context. So if you think today how, for example, they put a plan for a space mission, right? So there's a lot of things that needs to be done, and simulation might take with them, I would say, probably months, because a lot of data is involved over there. So quantum computing would shrink this and take on like other use cases, and this will affect, of course, the AI would become like much faster, although it's very fast today. But think about what are the opportunities that it can open for us. The other thing also, it's a little bit to cybersecurity. So everyone knows that today we use passwords, and we use encryption to protect. So with the current computing power that we have, someone to be able to decrypt this, a bad actor, it will take him like you know hundreds of years to do that, because that basically not possible. With quantum computing, that can shrink to just like couple of hours. So this will affect also, we would need to have like next generation of cryptography. We'll need to do more research on maybe finding other ways, to protect our data and our privacy, because of the quantum computing power.
I know you didn't want to get into the weeds, but an immediate question in my mind, since we talked about crypto, is that would quantum computing change the way proof of work and maybe proof of stake, how they operate?
Oh, oh, definitely. So this will make things faster. So everyone knows, uh, because the proof of work and everything is also relying on speed of the computer. It's relying on speed of the network. It's relying on many things, and this is why, of people who are familiar with crypto. So at some stage, when Bitcoin was still new, so transactions were very fast and they didn't cost a lot, right? So with time, we start to see like there are delays, and people started to criticize, oh, like, the crypto was promising us like it's like instant, it's like this, and now it can take like hours, which is still okay, by the way. But with that, the proof of work and the infrastructure of the blockchain will become so reliable that it's really, really speed of light. Like when I say speed of light, I'm not joking here, because the compute friction would be removed almost, so it will be very, very fractional. And all what is happening now is like we're just relying on the speed of how fast I can move, this bit from this location to this location. And already we have the fiber optics, we have the technology today, which allows us to make things much, much faster.
What are your thoughts on Web3 and blockchain in its current form? It feels like a lot of people are interested in the space, but also there's a lot of, nonsense, a lot of noise floating around. People just think the entire industry, Bitcoin included, is just like NFTs and, trash coins and all
Yeah.
of these things. How do we change this narrative?
So it's not something new, to be honest with you, Ayush. Like we've seen every time we've got like something new, you see the people who try to kind of jump on the trend and try to do things out of it. Now, if I take blockchain first, right? So blockchain as a technology, it's like a wonderful technology if you think about it, because you don't need a centralized computer, let's say, to be the single source of trust. So it's like peer-to-peer computing. So basically, we have now all, think about it. So all the computers of the world, all the machines of the world, they have the right to say if this transaction is, was done, or is it like someone who tried to fraud the system. So from security perspective is the ultimate solution for many things we have. And it's not only for financial use cases, by the way. If you think about it, and even like I run my own podcast. So one time I had you know guest, his name is Bruno Calbretta. So he gave me like one use case I never thought about it. So basically we can even use blockchain to make sure if the materials we are getting are actually coming from the factory where we ordered them from, so then no one have tampered that on the way. So think about the blockchain as a mean, not only to, of course, the cryptocurrency part comes as a reward, because here you have now the power of a lot of computers around the world, and you need to give them some reward. This is where the idea of proof of work, once it's done, you just give someone like a cryptocurrency. Bitcoin was the first ones to do this, right? Now coming to Web3, I've also spoke to a lot of experts. Now Web3, from concept perspective, is an amazing one, because what is Web3? And it's not like me, it's again like based on the conversation I had with expert. I'm not expert in Web3 in any mean, but Web3 came from the idea that says we used to have the static internet, in the early 90s. So you just log into a website and it was just like text, nothing else. Web 2, which is basically what we use today, is like the ability for all of us to contribute to that. So you get like the social media, the Facebooks, the Twitters, or X now, the LinkedIn, so where everyone can start to contribute on that. But you know the people who are behind the Web3 says that still it's kind of centralized, because think about it. You write today, for example, on a platform like Meta or Facebook, right, or Instagram. So although it's you writing there, but the platform is owned by someone else, right? So the people who are behind the idea of Web3, they say same as the blockchain concept. So everyone has to have the say in owning this piece of content. So it's like kind of little bit philosophical, little bit theoretical. Honestly speaking, it's it's just a a movement of freeing who owns the internet, right? At the time of recording this episode with you today, Ayush, the world has a global outage, because
Right.
one single vendor, right, have done something, and people, I was checking my feeds before we come and start the recording, and people are starting to discuss, oh, like we have a problem in the supply chain, because you have kind of a single point of failure. So the people who you know defend the idea of Web3, they say that should not be the case. That should be everyone's um, right, to participate in owning the platform. So think about like a platform similar to X or Meta Facebook or Meta Instagram, where it's not like one company that owns the content, everyone's actually owns the content. So they, from their point of view, they will be kind of democratizing, the content, so no censorship over there. Everyone can write whatever they want. Now, I've seen also some use cases where Web3 related to, technology somehow, because they say if we have kind of this platform, we can do additional use cases out of it. I'm not very much, technically versed to understand exactly what they do, but their idea is we can use the same technology, apply it to other use cases where everything is democratized, right? So everyone, owns a piece of that. So basically, for example, they say, let's take for example phone calls, or like the Zoom call that we are recording on today. So instead of, one platform to own this, so we can use the Web3 technology to provide like additional platforms where we don't rely on single provider or couple of providers. And again, people care about privacy, and this is one of the things that blockchain also allowed. So basically, when you do a transaction, this Ayush. So if you send me some bitcoins, or like let's say Ethereum today, no one knows other you and me that we did this transaction, because it's a peer-to-peer, fully private. So they are kind of, promoting the same approach there. Now, regarding the bad use cases, now, again, even with AI, so the moment AI, and AI is not a new concept, so everyone knows about it, but ChatGPT brought it to the front again, because of the powerful natural language processing that they were able to train their large language models on it, and then you can start to talk to it like a normal, so you chat with it, right? Now, from the blockchain and NFT perspective, I think, yeah, it was a little bit, in my opinion, a little bit abused. So people who wanted to be, as I said, they are surfing the wave, and saying, okay, because Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the main, known coins are, if you remember back in 2017, 2018, they were on the rise. Of course, like, they crashed at some stage. And then again, we always see these, and Bitcoins will reach this and will reach that. So they promised people. So some, unfortunately, people wanted to use this to say, hey, the future is crypto. Everything gonna, collapse from fiat currencies. And, my currency, or cryptocurrency, will be the one which is valuable, unfortunately. And we've seen this, like, they start to launch projects. So we start to see initial coin funding things, or initial coin offerings, ICOs instead of IPOs. And, you know in my opinion, humble opinion, it doesn't take to someone to be too much technical to understand that there is nothing behind it. So they just, they write a paper. If you, even if you bring someone from a scientific background, they say, okay, so what? Like, what are you trying to do? And they started to, release these uh, coins that actually they don't have any value, because actually they are not sorting out any problem, right? So NFT, and do we hear about NFTs much nowadays? I don't think so. Right, right, Ayush. Of course, still there are people. And if you remember, there was this very famous NFT. I think it was the first tweet or something like this. I can't remember how much they paid for it. And today it was almost nothing. Because again, the concept is nice, but they presented it or they mispresented it. Who are they? I don't know them. But there were some and this will happen all the time. But what I wanted to say, you always, from technology perspective, the way to see or to spot if this is something really worth or not, to think about it. Okay, what are they trying to solve for me as an end user, right? So if you think about NFT, okay, blockchain is sorting this, not the NFT actually, because in with blockchain I can prove, and all the network will prove that I own the Mona Lisa. Let's say I am the owner of the Mona Lisa, because there are a lot, or actually the whole network, that says yes, Mehmet is the one who drew the Mona Lisa. Just, of course, I didn't, but you get my point. But and then trying to monetize it in this way, and say, hey, like, it's just a digital thing, guys. Like it's there is nothing behind it. It's just like it's stored, like it's even in KB, not in MBs, even. And they are saying, yeah, like this is worth like millions of dollars. Okay, that is something fishy over there. And I get surprised, and I'm, because this is for the Gen Zs. Guys, you are very smart generation. I would tell you, always question if it's really, what, if it's really worth, why like someone would not everyone would do it, right? So if and this is like a scheme that start to appear with the web 2. Actually, you start to see these landing pages, and they say, hey, if you want to become a millionaire, just fill this form, and they show you videos and so on. So it's kind of the same scheme that appeared. But I think the next generation I use, they are very much educated, and they're very much aware, like, to not fall in these traps. So this is what I would say about NFTs and these shit coins and all the other stuff.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. That was a lecture, and it was a necessary lecture because there is so much misinformation and disinformation going around in that particular field. It is interesting that like today is the day where one point of centralized failure resulted in so many airlines being down. Literally the entire world is affected. So it is kind of
Right.
like this meta ad for decentralized protocols. You used an interesting word, which was democratized. And I think with artificial intelligence coming to this main point of the conversation, we have seen as a result of ChatGPT and large language models this democratized access to information. Whether that's good or bad, it remains to be seen. But just to start, how do you see artificial intelligence and maybe job automation being affected because of generative AI? Is it going to be affected? And then how do you see it being affected?
It will be affected. This is 100%. But I am, a optimistic person by nature, right? And I would love to see these things from a positive perspective. Now, when generative AI, I mean ChatGPT and the other large language models started to appear, we start to see people, hitting the panic button. Oh, like, this is bad. We are moving fast. I don't agree with them because look, you know, when a technology is discovered, you cannot delay it much. It's coming. Now, of course, I know that I'm gonna say a cliche, and I hear it in my own podcast. So it's not AI that is gonna replace my job. It's someone who knows how to use the AI who will replace. I know it's a cliche, but I'm repeating it here. Now, you mentioned something at the beginning very important about, empowering, people. I see it very positive because think about it, Ayush. Like, let's say there's a person called John, right? And John is, living probably maybe I don't know somewhere in some part of the world, and he was dreaming all the time that he want to solve a certain problem, but he doesn't have the technical knowledge to build an application behind it. Today, with ChatGPT or similar tool, he can just write what he want to do and he can get guidance, right? The best part out of it, he even can, without the knowledge of coding, he can build. John can go and start build these systems, and there are like no code tools. If you combine, like no code tools with AI and so on, so people will get very empowered. I'm not concerned about AI replacing even my own job, because actually what's happening, and even Elon Musk, he mentioned a couple of times about, like, this universal income, right? So everyone talks about the universal income. Now, it's a philosophical topic. Should we still work? Should not? I believe we're gonna be, by nature, we are not lazy, right? So we like to move, we like to do things, we like to be creative. But what will change is the job concept as we know it now. This is my own point of view. And I tell people, if you still do tasks that rely, pen and paper, or let's say data entry, these kinds of jobs gonna disappear. We don't need to do that anymore, right? Machine can do that for us. I think, the future is for creativity, the future, or for people who knows how to leverage this technology to come up with something useful and meaningful. I'm not worried about AI replacing jobs, but my advice to the young generation, go and learn to use these tools, and actually don't be afraid of using the technology, because again, I'm repeating maybe things that many people have said before me, but if we think, okay, when they discovered, for example, the fire, people were scared. Oh, the fire will burn us. But actually, fire, has good use cases. And again, when someone discovered or like invented the knife, so they invented the knife because they needed it, right? So they needed to move to the next stage. So, but with knife you can kill people as well. But should we say knife is bad? No, it's not, right? Same with the cars. The people, oh, we have the horses. Why we need cars, right? And it repeats. If you, I'm not sure, like if the someone from this generation have seen this, but e- even when the internet appeared the first time, they said it's just gonna fade away after a couple of months. No one believed in the internet. But see the use case. Anything that has a use case, and AI has a large use cases in the job, market, in the skill set. And I can tell you from my conversations on my own podcast, I'm meeting people who are doing fantastic things, whether it's related to education, healthcare, you just name it. So people, you should not be afraid of AI replacing your job. Actually, you are lucky because you're gonna not have to suffer with things like maybe my generation, we suffer to do repetitive tasks, we suffer to not be able to find the information in the easy way, even like we are the Google generation. But the AI even makes this much easier because with Google you need to how to do the search. Now with AI, even you can just type in a natural language type of sentence and you will get the answer. So this is what I will say regarding this, Ayush.
No, it's so interesting. I'm loving the flow that we're having, but it's so interesting that you kind of looked at being automated as a positive, where it's like if you are job insecure because of artificial intelligence, it might be the case that, not to put words in your mouth, but it might be the case that your job was unfulfilling. Like it might be a positive because at least your job is automated and you can look for different work, more meaningful work. One thing that you talked about is leverage, using artificial intelligence as leverage to be more creative. How do we do that? Because it feels like everybody and their mom already knows how to use ChatGPT to augment their tasks, to replace certain tasks, to automate. We see Auto GPT, I think, being this agent that can go around. So we're seeing these tools, but how do you, as maybe a young person just getting out of high school, just getting out of post-secondary, how do you use chatbot-like systems to differentiate yourself from everybody else that's doing the exact same thing?
Good question. See, like everything starts with a purpose. I like to call it, and it's not my own word. Like, I believe in this concept, putting end in mind, right? So, and this one I say about creativity, because if you think about, if today I want to just design a simple app, right? So today, without the AI, I need to go first, go to a designer, give me like a couple of samples of how the UI will look like, which is the wireframe or the storyboard, right? And then I need to go to a coder, and the coder will go and try to write this storyboard in a code format, and so on and so forth. Now, with AI, right? So, and you mentioned Auto GPT and these agents. So the AI now, it's still in very early stages, but what people are trying to do is to break down this end of mind project, what you're trying to achieve, and they will break it down for you. And then similarly, how today you will go to a UI designer and UX designer, and you go to a coder, and then of course you have a quality assurance guy, and then you have someone who do the marketing for you. So the AI breaks it down to agents, and each agent is specialized in its own field, right? So basically, this is gives us the ability to, we don't need to think too much about the details. So you think about the big picture. And when you think about the big picture, and like someone is taking care of, the small details that are repetitive, the small details that are sometimes time consuming. So this will gives you, oh, hold on one second. If this is done very quickly, how I can go and iterate to the next level. And this is, and always I tell people this, they think that AI will kill, the human interaction. That's not true. Actually, we will have more time to talk to each others because if I'm spending my time just fixing my UI, I'm just again giving the simple example of a simple mobile app, whatever it does. So when I gonna go and speak to my customers or to my users? So now if AI is doing this in the background, me as someone who want to start something like this, oh, Ayush is my friend. Let me call him and just tell him, okay, I'm thinking about this. Tell me your feedback. And I go to the next friend and the next friend and the next friend, right? And even if you give me some feedback and I like the idea, I go to the AI, say, hey, my friend Ayush, he recommended that, he might be interested in such feature. And then I will get the analysis, right? Okay, this will take, like this amount of time to get done. This is what we need to do in the back end to get it up and running, blah, blah, blah. I said, okay. So I become like kind of the project manager. Because here is the point also. We always say this, we will not completely rely on the machine. We still need, us the humans to give the feedback to the AI. Because remember, AI is just a software, and software, how it works, it's a set of instructions that us humans we give. The thing that AI does very perfectly, so it can structure the logic in a very fast manner and it can execute it in a very, very fast way. So combining the logic with speed for us as humans, like imagine it's like the genie from you just like do this and you have the genie right from the light. So it's kind of this moment where you just wish and AI is doing that for you. So this is how I see this, Ayush.
It's a fascinating thing, and I definitely agree with you that we are just seeing the early stages of people being creative. But that also entails people being creative, or rather, let me rephrase, bad actors being creative. So, do you have any initial or like these privacy or social concerns that bad actors are going to take advantage of with these artificial intelligence systems? Maybe not just you, but what should we be looking at or be paying attention to regarding these systems?
Yeah, so in general, there will be always bad use of any technology. I just gave you the example of fire, knife, and so on, and even cars. If you think about the car, oh, car can kill humans as well, right? So someone can go just and run over someone else, right? So if we think about technology, there will be always people who try to use it in the bad form, right? So now, the mission for people like you and me and the other people in the society is to think how we can first we cannot completely stop it. Let's be realistic, right? But let's try to see how we can educate people to know how to protect themselves against the bad actors, right? Second, let's dig more and know why actually the bad actors do what they do, right? So this is my point of view. Now, if you think about the internet, it's a fascinating technology, right? For the new generation, especially who are born after 1995 or so, so it's a de facto. So they were born in the age of internet, so they know the internet since they were kids, right? So, but if you think about it, internet was used also in bad shapes, right? So people leverage it for bad things. Now with the AI, you have the deep fakes, you have you can impersonate yourself. Everyone knows about the text to voice technology and voice to text. So these where I can just take my own voice, just I need probably maybe 20-30 seconds, and then I will give it to the AI, and then I can generate from any text my own voice, right? It's dangerous if you think about it. But should we stop using it? Absolutely not. But here's where the awareness comes, and this is where I believe, Ayush, I was telling you about we should be communicating with each others more, because probably what we get used because of the WhatsApps and the messages tools and messaging platforms is that we stop to talk to each other. So probably if next time I send you a voice message and you feel there's something weird, like Mehmet will not say something like this, you should call me, right? So we should educate people more. Now, can we stop it completely? Absolutely not. I'm not, but see, I'm not worried. I'm not worried. Why? Because this is the thing also as well. I told you just a couple of seconds ago about why bad actors would do that, right? So I'm not say psychologist by any mean, But like these people, they do this because maybe they had some traumas when they were like younger. Probably maybe they are in need. So people, for example, they do the hacking, in the cyberspace. Why they do it? Because they are, they used to maybe to live poor, they always needed money, and they always dream to be rich, right? And how they become rich? Okay, let's hack a bank, right? So they see this in the movie and actually they do it. Now, and this is what I'm saying with AI. If we can get to this moment where everyone become more wealthy, or they become, uh, you know, able to have a suitable lifestyle, I think these things should be, come down. Of course, again, there will be always the bad actors who will try to trick people, do this. And here, again, the maybe it's a counter intuitive to say this, because we talked about democratizing things, and we talked about, like, the Web3 and so on. But still, we need regulations. We need to make sure that the technology is always in the hand of the right people. We need to make sure that it's not used for bad purposes. Uh, but I'm not saying to control it. I'm against, because at some stage, for example, people were saying, yeah, we should ban the use of chat GPT, for example, in schools, or we should not use like this technology because it has privacy issues. I'm saying, with proper measures, with proper procedures and logic, education, we can, I'm not saying 100% stop these things to happen, but we can lower it to a minimum where few people, probably they didn't have the chance to see the educational material, or maybe they are not aware, but we can minimize the impact, right? So the more we educate people, the more we empower people actually to use the technology, so they will themselves actually. So my dream, for example, is someone, if they get a fraud call, let's say, right, or they get a kind of a fishy email, right? Which, these ones that they promise you something. So the users should go and ask, for example, something like ChatGPT, or maybe ChatGPT should be able to eye drop on the email and say, hey, I don't think you should answer this email, because it's first, it's coming from an untrusted source. Second, I've seen something similar before with other people, and you should not answer it, right? So I would like to always use the technology for the good side of the story, not ban it and stop it because it might fall in the hands of the bad actors. So in a nutshell, this is what I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. It's foolish to try to ban a technology or overly regulate it, because even if you do ban it or regulate it, it's still going to be used in other parts of the world to infiltrate. Like, the internet is not this physical thing where you can set up walls anymore.
Absolutely.
I do want to respect your time. So this last question is, what advice regarding technology, artificial intelligence, or philosophy do you have for Gen Z moving forward in their careers, in their lives?
Yeah, sure. But before I answer you, just quick thing. It just came to my mind to said, you mentioned something very important. So when I saw, like, there was a letter signed by some big executives in the Silicon Valley when ChatGPT came out, that we have to slow down, do this, do that. You know, I remember I shared something on LinkedIn. I said, guys, already the technology is in the hand of the bad people. So if we don't continue improving to become faster than them, they will take over us. Now come back to your question, Ayush, regarding my advice to the new generation about technology, and keep learning. My single advice is keep learning, and never ever get afraid of also keep trying new things. Uh, of course, we should be sometime skeptical. We should be careful, but don't be afraid of trying the new technology, and always think big. Think about how technology can solve our biggest problems. you know Maybe it's something that touches me, like, which is, I hope the next generation will be able to solve will be my last message, by the way. um Leverage technology to solve the biggest planet problems. And when I say, and humanity problems, still people are in famine, right? So there are still people who don't have access to clean waters. There are still people who has to live in wars and so on. So try to leverage the technology, knock every door possible to see how technology can help us in solving these problems, because I believe we reach a phase in humanity, and there's this famous graph where things start slow, which is the exponential growth, right? And then all of a sudden you are on this very fast track. We are actually still down there, guys, and now it's the time to go and see how we can accelerate more. And when I say accelerate more, leverage technology to solve the problem. There's a very famous quote. Excuse me, I forget who said this, but yeah, it's from never mind. i will try to I will try to let you know. And then, so it's like about go find a problem that now currently 1 million people they face, because everyone wants also to be wealthy, right? And just charge them $1, right? But you're gonna do this with technology, and you're gonna do this by observing what's happening around you, observing the world, what the world needs today. And believe me, it's only technology that's gonna take us to this next level. Because if I take myself, my generation, you know we think we were on a rapid pace. Actually, you guys, you're gonna be on the more fastest rapid pace, because with AI now going full speed. You will not say, okay, tell me what will happen in 5-10 years. This was the usual question we used to get. For your generation, it will be, tell me what might happen in 6-7 months from now, because the technology is going this. So keep aware of what's happening, keep yourself busy learning about the technology, not the nitty gritty. I'm not saying go and learn how things works in the back end, but be aware of what's happening around you, because technology is the mean in any business you're going to choose that will take you to the next level. And like, even you're going to be in a retail kind of business, you're going to be in e-commerce, you're going to be, I don't know, a banker. Technology and AI mainly going to be with you everywhere. So my message: keep learning.
Mehmet, this was a fantastic and thrilling conversation. I learned so much personally. I do want to respect your time. Thank you so much for being here and hope to have you back on the program very soon.
Thank you very much, Ayush. I really appreciate that.